Hey everybody, Ryan from AdvoGadget here again. This is going to be the Lenovo K3 Note quick intro to the sort of basic UI and stock app setup. So I'm not going to waste any time getting into it. We'll just go right into it. So this is the stock Android that's installed. It's a little bit different from your basic Android installation. The launcher, first of all, doesn't have a separate app drawer. Everything is just in one group of apps, and then you put your widgets, mix your widgets in with it, which is a little bit different for me, anyways. This may be something that Lenovo's done all the time with their phones. Looking at the apps installed, you've got your basic calendar, theme center, gallery, file browser, music player, Baidu browser, Clean Master, DU Speed Booster, your standard plethora of Google apps, the FM radio app, TouchPal, which is a swipe type keyboard, and then just voice search and YouTube. Right off the bat, you can see this is a fresh install that I've got here, and right here there's Clean Master telling us, wait, we may have some junk, but all that's telling is that there's a tiny bit of cache junk that needs cleaning, advanced cleaning, which does I don't even know what, but then 162 megabytes of memory boost. And all this is doing is telling us, hey, why don't you unload some of your apps in memory? So that's kind of a waste. This is an app that could almost certainly be deleted. I'm not a big fan of these memory clearing apps anyways. So let's go and look. The only really unusual things would be, I guess, the theme center, where you can go and obviously it uses the internet. Thank you, Lenovo Theme Center, for telling me. And it's obviously aimed at the Chinese market, since most of this stuff is in Chinese. The most popular themes are all Chinese. There's a nice big Hero 6 one. I'm sure that's officially licensed. Yeah, for the North American market, it might not be the most useful thing on that respect, unless you can read Chinese. Wallpapers, ringtones, fonts, lock screen themes. When we get into the settings, I will show this, but you can actually theme up your lock screen relatively easily. This is just a link directly into that. So then the other thing that I noticed was Safe Center, which seems to be some sort of virus scanner, maybe. Looks like it lets you install a spam blocker. It's got a traffic monitor. Okay, I don't have a SIM installed, so that's not much use. Permissions. Tells you which apps have asked for which permissions, so this is kind of nice. It lets you set permissions, really fine-grained permissions on all your apps. So if you're one of those people who stupidly believed that the Facebook Messenger app was stealing all your information, you could actually go in here and just disable all the settings that you didn't like it to do. But hey, shh, don't tell anybody. That's stupid. Now, going back out, let's go into the settings. First thing we'll do is we'll fly up to the bottom here, go to About Phone. Yeah. Please don't mess with your phone. You could break it, and we won't help you. In the device information, you see model number, Lenovo K50 T5, Android 5.0, build number, Vibe UI, blah, blah, blah. That's the custom Lenovo Android build, the Vibe UI. 8 cores, 1.7 gigahertz, 2 gigs of memory, 16 gigs of phone memory. Nothing really surprising there. The one thing I would recommend that people do is, let's turn the screen back on. It's got a super quick screen disable there. So in this screen, if you click on build number, I think 7 times, 5, 6, 7, you're now a developer. This enables, back in the main settings menu, developer options. And really the only reason to do this is to be able to turn on USB debugging. For everyone else, 99.99% of the people, you're not going to need to use this menu for anything except for USB debugging. And that's if you want to root it, you need to do that. If you want to install a custom recovery, you need to do that as well. Back into the About phone. Nothing else really interesting in here. We've got a battery status, battery level, IP address, MAC address, Bluetooth address, uptime, whether or not you want to participate in the Lenovo Experience program. And I covered this in my last video. Basically, it's just a some sort of Lenovo specific setup where they try to improve your experience using the phone, which means basically spamming you, sending you game recommendations, which I'm sure aren't sponsored at all, showing you ads for things when you're browsing, just things like that that I don't think anybody really wants, but they also sneak in that, oh no, we're going to also speed up the phone's boot time and a bunch of things along those lines. So it's hard to say whether or not those claims are actually true, but I feel like that's their way of trying to sneak ads for other apps and services in a la Superfish, which hopefully this isn't quite as invasive as Superfish was, but I'm going to be disabling it anyways. And then, yeah, on the status, we already went to that. So that's pretty much it. And then, well, legal information, if you really want to read the licensing agreements, you can. That is not something that I have any interest in, and we're not going to cover that in this video. So, let's go back up to the top. I'm going to show the WLAN quickly. It just shows all your different available wireless networks. Up the top, you've got the ability to add a network, save networks, refresh, and advanced. So advanced is your basic network notification, auto join, scanning always available, keep WLAN on during sleep, install certificates, WPS push button, WPN pin entry, location-based WLAN. Really, that's nothing super exciting there. So then we've got airplane mode. Hotspots is your basic, lets you set up WLAN hotspot, which super, set up a hotspot over Wi-Fi, set up a hotspot over Bluetooth, and do USB tethering to your PC. Fairly straightforward, no nonsense type stuff. Bluetooth, you turn it on. I don't think I have any devices available locally. And then it's got the ability to rename your phone, visibility timeout, show receive files. Just your basic Bluetooth menu. Then more network settings. Lets you set your default SMS app, VPN stuff if you're the type of person that uses VPN on your phone. I don't, but it's got the standard, hey, set up a lock pin for your homepage. I don't want to bother with any of that. It's generic VPN Android stuff. And then wireless display. You turn that on. Hey, cool, I can see some wireless display devices in my house. So there we go. Turn that back off because I'm not planning on streaming this anywhere. And then we go up, and then we get into the personal settings. Oh, and I think I don't know if I specifically mentioned, but in-device information, yeah, Android 5.0, I must have mentioned that. Let's go back. Whee! Ring vibrate. Typical volume settings, although nicely, which this is something I've really missed in a lot of recent Chinese phone Android builds, the ability to separate music, media, calls, messages, notifications, and alarm. A lot of them really only have like 2 or maybe 3 of these. They don't have all 4, so that's nice to see all 4 there. You can vibrate in silent mode, vibrate when ringing, set do not disturb mode, which has all kinds of customizations, what can interrupt you and when. You can whitelist, so you can add a contact to your whitelist here, so that they can always get through. If you set your do not disturb at the movies and then your babysitter calls, for those of you who are parents, you know that's a big deal. Then you know that if your phone rings or vibrates, that it's only a certain set of people who are super important. Unlimited repeat calls, what days to enable it, blah, blah, blah. I don't really use that very much, but it's nice to have the option. There's a little time warp again. Ran out of space on my phone, rookie move. It lets you set ringtones for each individual SIM. It lets you set your message ringtone for each individual SIM. Lets you set a default notification. Lets you set a startup ringtone, which I'm going to turn off. Pocket mode to maximize ringtone when it's in your pocket. I don't know if that's a setting I want to use either, so I'm going to turn that off. And also decrease ringtone when phone is picked up, which I think I like that one. That's kind of cool. It probably uses the orientation sensor to determine that you've picked the phone up while it's ringing, so it's always nice that you know you've picked up the phone, so you don't need it to be blasting the volume anymore. Sound effects when dialing touchpad, I hate that. Play sound when selecting items on screen, I don't like that, so that's off too. Screen lock sound, I don't need that. Your mileage may vary, and vibrate upon touch, I also hate that too. So, nice to be able to turn all those annoyances off. And on display, we've got brightness. Just your typical automatic brightness. It's hard to tell with an auto brightness setting on my phone here, that's recording it, but the dark is actually pretty significantly dark, which is nice. A lot of these Chinese phones, even on the absolute darkest brightness setting, are still crazy bright in the middle of the night if you're reading your phone in the dark or whatever. And so that's really something that's a nice touch. And the brightest setting, as you can see, it sort of looks the same on my recording here because it's auto adjusting the exposure, but it's pretty reasonably bright, at least indoors. Once I get using it outside, then I'll have a better feel for how bright it really gets. But that's something for my full review. So let's just go back to automatic brightness so it can handle the inside. Wallpapers. Just your standard collection of pretty pictures and things. Font style. I have no idea what those are. And I don't know. I guess it's sort of... Oh, let's pause while one of my children yells at me. And I'm back after a quick potty break. So, here's the font settings. There's one font option. There's the other font option. I don't see that there's significant difference between the two, to be honest with you. So, I guess if you're an English speaker, the 2 default fonts included don't seem to make much difference. Then we have auto rotate screen, screen standby. I'm going to set that to a minute so it stops shutting off on me accidentally. Then there's the daydream settings, which lets you choose what sorts of ways it wants to behave when it's daydreaming. And basically daydreaming, you can tell it when to daydream, and basically the only option is while charging. So this is basically what sort of screensaver to put on your phone while it's charging. Not something I'm going to use. Something someone might use, just not me. Font size, you can set it to blind person fonts. You can set it to itty bitty teeny fonts. I'm going to set it back to normal. I like to think I'm normal, at least in some respects. And then we've got home. And right now, the only launcher that's installed by default is the Lenovo launcher, which I'm probably going to replace. And then there is night eye protection, which is kind of a neat setting. You turn that on, and because I don't have a SIM in my phone, it still thinks it's 3 in the morning, even though it is 3 in the afternoon. It basically just always dims the screen down at nighttime. And an interesting warning there, in some cases some app buttons may not work. I'm not sure why that is, but it's an interesting warning. I'm going to turn that back off. And then light. This is the notification light. So you can have it turned on for missed calls, unread messages, unread emails, and other quote-unquote. And they list WeChat, QQ, and Weibo, which are all popular apps in China. I'm hoping that it is just giving those as examples and not limiting specifically to those ones, but I guess we'll see once I do my full review and get everything installed how it actually behaves. Yeah, but that's what I assume the behavior is there. And then, so going down further, lock screen. What we've got here, you can choose your unlock type for your screen, swipe pattern, pin, password. No facial unlock from the camera here, and no fingerprint sensor, so no fingerprint unlock. Delay lock when screen turns off automatically, so this is a neat little feature. If you're using your phone and just reading and the screen turns off automatically, when you turn it back on, if you turn it on within 5 seconds, or whatever setting you set here, up to 10 minutes, it won't lock the screen, so it'll just go straight back to whatever you were in, which is a nice little touch, actually a nice little thoughtful touch, which I don't recall encountering on other phones recently, but yeah, I've only sort of been dealing with my Chinese phones lately, so a lot of those are very basic and no customizations. Owner info is just show owner info on lock screen. I don't want that because it doesn't need it. Operator info displays on the lock screen. Sure, I'll keep that on, I guess. Pocket dial prevention mode. Use a proximity sensor to avoid inadvertent operations when the phone's in your pocket. That's kind of a neat setting, but I feel like that would be another real battery waster, because that means the proximity sensor has to be checking all the time that it's in your pocket. And why would you want to have that going all the time? I might play with that a little on and off just to see how much battery it actually uses, but for now I'm going to turn it off. And then unread event vibrating alert. When the keyguard is active, if there's an unread event, the device will vibrate. I have no idea what that means, really. It's just a bit of a confusing wording, so I guess we'll find out later on when I do my full review what that means. Notification settings. Click to hide the notification bar. App notification management. So this is a very similar to Apple's app notification setup. Now, granted, this may have existed on Android before, and Apple might have just stolen it. But I first encountered it on iOS, so to me, as far as I can tell, it looks like something that came from iOS. But you can choose where notifications show up. If they show up on your lock screen, if they show up in a little drop-down reminder at the top, or if they're just something in your status bar. So that's kind of a cool setting, and I'm going to play around with that a little bit to see, because one of my big pet peeves about the MLA's M52 was that you really couldn't do anything on the lock screen. So being able to enable lock screen notifications on all of my apps that send me notifications, that's a pretty big deal for me. So we'll go back and then advanced settings for the notification center. Display battery indicator. Boom, percentage. Thank you. Now I can finally see exactly how much battery I'm using. 97% free. Display current network speed. This actually tells you in your notification bar exactly how much you're uploading and downloading in speed at the moment, which is kind of neat, I guess, but I'm not really concerned about that at the moment. No screenshot notifications. That's just if you do a screenshot in Android by holding down the down button and your power button, which are both on the same side on this phone, it just adds a screenshot captured notification to your notification center. And then you can choose what you want to do with it. For those of you who aren't familiar with resizable notifications in your notification bar, I just dragged that down and it actually let me resize to see the whole notification, which is kind of neat. Oh, I don't want to open that. And I also just gave you a sneak peek at the extended drop-down in the notification center, but we're not going to look at that right now. So, no screenshot notifications, WLAN status top or mind. I'm not really sure what that means. I assume it means there's going to be something at the top to tell me when I'm connected to WLAN versus Wi-Fi, maybe? I don't know. And today's schedule in the drop-down notification area, I really don't want that because I don't have that much of a schedule, so I don't need to be reminded every time that I don't have anything planned today. Let's go to here. Character settings. So this is called character settings, but I think what they actually mean is gesture settings, because here is the double press to the volume button to take a picture if the screen's off. Open shortcuts or apps via touch control when the screen is locked. Actually, no, this is when it's not locked. Light up the screen. So this is double click to unlock, which is a great setting, which I didn't think I was going to like, and I kind of panned it in one of my older reviews, but I've gotten so used to using it now. So, hey, look at that. Black screen unlock. There's a bunch of settings in here. If you just slide left or right on a locked screen, locked and turned off screen, that is, it will actually unlock normally. If you draw a V, you can set that up to unlock to the camera. And this looks like it has some settings in it, so let's have a look and see what that does. So you can actually choose which is your camera app. So you don't actually have to use it for the camera, you can use it to launch any app. And then unlock to the screen. I don't know what the difference is with this. Yeah, so that looks like it's just adding the ability to unlock to another app. And then about the black screen unlock, this is a little tutorial, looks like, for the different options. Whee! So that one's, where that says unlock to the screen, I think they actually meant that to be unlocked to the browser. But again, these seem to be able to let you set any app, and so by all means just unlock to any app that you want if you want. I'm not going to use that setting, so because I don't mind just choosing the app I want to launch when I bring it up. And then last is the Smart Scene settings, which basically just lets you set a bunch of scenarios and then put a bunch of different settings into those scenarios. So, and then here's, some basic ones: sleep, home, lunch, office, go to class. And then if you actually go into these, you can choose what tasks you want to do in this scenario. You can set airplane mode on or off. You can mess with sound on or off. You can change brightness. You can change GPS. You can add a scene task. So you can have Bluetooth or WLAN or an app launch. All sort of neat, gimmicky type things. If they had some other stuff like the ability to detect when you're connected via Bluetooth to the car, for example, to turn on a car mode or launch up a music app or your navigation or something like that, might be interesting, but it doesn't look like there's that much in the way of when you set up a new... okay, well, let's hold on a second. It doesn't look like there's much in at least the frequently used ones that are set up, but if we set up a new one, we have the ability to set start and end times, bind automatically when you connect to a specific access point, which is not quite the same as the Bluetooth one, and then course scenario, start class and finish time. I'm not sure how this is different from timed. Yeah, I don't know what these are. So I'm going to ignore that for now. And then I'll go back, create a new scene. There is a little bit in the way of translation issues here, which leads to a little bit of confusion, but it's not the end of the world here. So you can Bluetooth, brightness, open app, GPS, and sound are the only tasks that you can do in a scene. Then going back, date and time settings, these are all, check that, I missed this earlier, BASCII settings, not basic. These are the joys of using English on a Chinese phone. Occasionally you're going to see these types of mistranslations or misspellings. But date and time menu, just your standard date and time. Set it by the network, automatic time zone, select time zone, use 24-hour format, choose date format. Boring. Language and input. Again, this is your basic language and input screen, really. Nothing too interesting there. All Android basics. Call settings can't do right now because I don't have a SIM in here. Scheduled power on and off. Kind of a neat setting. If you don't care about getting notifications in the middle of the night, you can have your phone turn on and turn back off, or turn off and turn back on, excuse me, in the morning just before your alarm's set to go off, and then it'll automatically go to the alarm. For those of you who are old enough to remember a time before smartphones, you could turn off your little Nokia phone, even with the alarm on, and it would automatically turn on and set the alarm off. Amazing. Now these are actual computers though, so when you turn it off, it's really off. And then location services are, this is just basic Android location services, nothing exciting to report there. Accounts, you can add your standard accounts, and the more apps you have installed, the more it lets you actually do here. Go back, and security. What you can do is...
I'm just working on the computer.
Oh, and my daughter has arrived to interrupt again, so we'll just stop at the security menu here for now, and we'll do a little wipe to the next scene with the joys of parenthood. So we're back again, and we're just looking at the security menu. So we've got make passwords visible, set device administrators, allow installation of apps from unknown sources. That's an important one for me because occasionally I download the odd APK that I want to install that isn't from the Play Store. Even something as simple as the Amazon App Store app. Verify apps is nice because it allows you to tell if there's possible apps that could harm your computer. And then you've got like credential storage and things like that, which I don't really, I don't think I've ever touched in the 4 years or so that I've been using Android. Power Manager
Dad,
has a lot of...
look.
So Power Manager has, Power Saving Helper, which does things like, well, that just dimmed the screen, which you couldn't really tell because the auto stuff helped there. Standby Power Saver lets you disconnect when your screen goes off, disable apps while the screen is off. This is something I remember seeing on the Sony Xperia ZL, where it turned off apps to save battery power when the screen's off, and then you can just set certain apps to be whitelisted there. So, if you don't want certain apps to be affected.
Dad, look.
Then what else? We have Ultimate Power Saver, which I think does some kind of crazy stuff. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, it only enables calling and messaging when this is turned on. So basically, your phone becomes a dumb phone, and I'm sure you get tons of extra battery time from it, but then it's something you only want to turn on when you have low battery power. As you can hear my daughter narrating in the background, we've got a little bit of fun going on here. But then the power consumption details menu.
Dad.
This is an interesting one.
Dad, look.
This actually tells you how much power usage percentage-wise you're getting from each individual app, and you can break it down to total CPU consumption time. CPU prevents CPU sleep, how many times, and for how long, and that's kind of cool. And then hardware has the same sort of settings with a breakdown depending on each thing, the running time,
Dad,
and things along those lines. Okay, thank you. Now, Dad's almost done, miss, so if you'll give me 1 second, I'll finish this up. Sorry, friends. So, the last little bits are your basics, apps.
Dad, it comes in a back on.
You can,
Dad, it comes in a
okay. I think it's time that I took a break because my daughter's got it in her head that I'm not allowed to finish this. So, I'll be back. One last push. I swear we're going to get through this. In the App Manager, really simple, you can multi-select apps that are installed, choose a menu option, and actually uninstall or disable based on what's selected, which is kind of cool. You can see your running apps, disabled apps, all apps, not installed apps. I don't know what that means. If it's not installed, how does it know? Yeah, it's kind of cool that we've got, it looks like it gives you the option to uninstall as much as you want, but we'll see how that works out actually in practice, because there are some of those apps that I don't want to have in there. And then, back up and reset.
I want to watch another show.
Okay. Lets you do your backup. You can actually back it up to your phone. You can back up to Google. And you can do a factory data reset. And then accessibility. Most of these settings I've never ever used in my whole life. So, on that note, if you can hear the screaming in the background, I think I'm going to call that the end of this one, and we'll come back again in about a week or two, maybe a week and a half, once I've had time to really put this phone through its paces, see how it works, and give you a full proper review of it. But for now, that's a good setting. Oh, except I promise one more thing. In the drop down from the top, Okay, well you have the shortcut to settings, which is pretty standard these days, but you bring it right back down and you can turn on and off data connection, turn on and off Wi-Fi, turn off ringtones, GPS. Yes, I agree. No, I don't want automatic anonymous data. Airplane mode. Auto rotate, Bluetooth, screenshot. Wide touch, I have no idea what that is, so I'm gonna have to look up and see what that is. Flashlight, ooh, gives a little clicky click. And, oh, there's a little bit of that, woo. Dual LED flash in use. It's pretty bright. I'm blinded. That was dumb. But then it lets you set the that ultimate power saving mode that we talked about earlier. Okay, you can go to lock screen. I guess that's if your power button breaks and you don't want to use that method. Night eye protection, power off, and thank the Lord, a restart option. That was one thing that I found super annoying in the Lollipop build for the AMOLED M52. In the power menu, all you had was power off and maybe airplane mode. There was no restart, there was no volume change settings. That was extremely annoying. So they're there. You can set solid mode on or off, which is beautiful. And yeah, on that note, we're gonna shut her down, and I'll let you guys know when I come back what quick boot up at next booting actually does. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my parenting pauses this time around. That's one of the joys of being a parent. Sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, but that's okay. And so this is Ryan from AdvoGadgets signing out. Talk to you later.